Have you ever looked at a company's financial report and just seen a wall of numbers? It can feel a little intimidating. Well, today we're going to take one of those reports for an Indian housing finance company called Aavas Financiers, and we're going to unpack it. Because hidden inside all that data is a really fascinating story about some serious growth. Let's get into it. So that's the big question, right? How do we turn this raw data into a narrative that actually makes sense? Well, that's our mission today. We're going to break it down piece by piece and build a really clear picture of Aavas's journey over the past 6 years. Okay, first things first, you always follow the money. I mean, if you want to understand any business, you have to start with where the cash is coming from. It's revenue. This is the fuel for the entire company. Now, the official term you'll see is revenue from operations. Just think of it like this. It's the money you make from your main job, not from some side hustle. For Aavas, their main job is providing home loans. So this is the cash they generate from that core business, and it is the most important number to keep an eye on. And this is where the story starts to get really interesting. If you look back to 2018, Aavas was bringing in around 195 crore rupees in a quarter. Fast forward to 2024, and that number has skyrocketed to nearly 580 crore. To put that into perspective, they have nearly tripled their revenue in just 6 years. That's not just growth, that is a rocket ship. Of course, we all know you have to spend money to make money. So after seeing all that income, the next logical question is, where is all this cash going? Let's flip the coin and look at the expense side of the story. You know, this chart really tells you everything you need to know about how a finance company works. For Aavas, a massive 64% of their expenses are what's called finance costs. That's basically the interest they pay on the money they borrow. And it makes perfect sense, right? Their whole business model is borrowing money at a low rate and lending it out at a higher one. So their biggest cost is, well, the cost of money itself. After that, it's their people, employee benefits clocking in at 21%. It's a super simple but powerful snapshot. Their business runs on money, and it runs on people. And just like their revenue, their costs have grown a lot. Finance costs have quadrupled, and the money they spend on employees has almost tripled. But here's the key thing to remember. This isn't a bad sign. This is exactly what you'd expect to see from a company that's expanding so fast. More business simply means you need more money and more people to handle it all. So we've seen the money pouring in, and we've seen the money going out. This brings us to the moment of truth. You take all that revenue, you subtract all those costs, and what you're left with is the profit. This is where we find out, was all that growth and spending actually worth it? And the answer is an absolutely resounding yes. I mean, look at this. Despite those rising costs, Aavas's profits have just soared. They went from 56 crore rupees back in 2018 to a whopping 148 crore in 2024. This is the real story here. They aren't just growing bigger, they're growing more profitably. And that, my friends, is the sign of a very well-run company. Okay, so the company is making a lot of money. That's great for them. But let's bring this back to what really matters for anyone who might own a piece of this company, an investor. How does all this success actually translate into value for shareholders? Well, that's where this metric called earnings per share, or EPS, comes into play. It's a really simple but powerful idea. It just takes the company's total profit and divides it by the total number of shares out there. So it tells you, for each individual share you might own, how much profit the company made. It's one of the most direct ways to measure the value they're creating for their owners. And these numbers, well, they speak for themselves. In 2018, Aavas was earning just over 7 rupees for every share. By 2024, that has jumped to over 18 rupees per share. This is so crucial because it shows that the company's incredible success is directly translating into more value for each and every shareholder. All right, let's take a quick step back. We've looked at the money coming in through revenue, the money going out through costs, the profit left over, and what that means for investors. Now we can finally put all those pieces together and see the complete story the numbers had been telling us all along. This timeline really just lays it all out beautifully. In just 6 years, Aavas has managed to triple its revenue and nearly triple its quarterly profit. It's a textbook example of how to scale a business not just quickly but efficiently and successfully. Every single number we've looked at today has been a key plot point in this incredible growth story. So the next time you see a financial report, try not to see it as just a wall of numbers. Remember that if you know where to look, at the revenue, the costs, and the profit, you can actually unlock the story that's hidden inside. You can see a company's past, you can understand its present, and you can get a pretty good glimpse of its future. Which, of course, leaves us with one final and really fascinating question. Ava has clearly built an incredibly powerful engine for growth over the last 6 years. The numbers tell a clear story of consistent, powerful success. So, looking ahead, what do you think the next chapter of that story is going to be?